Chapter 173. Yi Tian didn't wait outside the battle scar tower, otherwise, it would be too strange. He walked directly into the God of War tower, which had a lot of space, and he walked around. The bloody challenge didn't last long, and after 2 hours, the bloody challenge was over. Number 37 on the holy list, Wind Slaughter Blood, Battle a Hawk Mercenary Pavilion, the 11th layer of the God of War tower's great sage-level combat power. As soon as this ranking came out, many people began to talk about it. Wind Killing Blood's ranking isn't as good as Yi Tian's. I remember that Wind Killing Blood and Yi Tian both almost broke through to the holy level. Why is there such a big gap in strength? The ranking of the king list is nothing. The 1st and 7th strength of the king list isn't very noticeable. They are all 7-star king level combat power. And Yi Tian also broke the record of the strongest attack. It's estimated that the speed is weaker, so this isn't a high ranking. In terms of attack power, Yi Tian is even more terrifying than the Wind Killing Blood. It's said that after stepping into the holy level, you need to open up the deep brain domain. Maybe Yi Tian got some treasure that can open up the deep brain domain, so the cultivation is much faster than the Wind Killing Blood, so this is the 12th layer of the God of War tower. Yes, every time the deep brain domain opens up 1%, that strength will skyrocket a lot. Whether it is Yi Tian or Feng Blood, their path to the saint level has just begun. In the future, they will all enter the top few of the saint level list, and now there is nothing to compare with who is faster and who is slower. Inside the Tower of the God of War, Wind Bloodshed came out of the virtual world challenge space with some disappointment. During this time, under the cultivation of the Tomahawk Mercenary Pavilion, he took a lot of treasures to assist in opening up the brain domain, and finally opened up the brain domain to 3%. He heard that Yi Tian had broken through the 12th floor of the God of War tower. He was a little unconvinced, and he came to challenge after the retreat. As a result, he was too far behind. He broke through the 11th layer, but when he was on the 12th floor, he was killed by the black-clothed warrior on the 12th layer in 3 moves, and he couldn't resist it at all. And Yi Tian was able to kill the black-clothed martial artist on the 12th layer, which means that he could also easily kill him. Being easily surpassed and crushed by the same 7-star king-level genius in the past, he was a little disappointed. HMPH, Yi Tian must have obtained very precious treasures in the temple space, and perhaps he has also raised the pseudo-mystic level strength talent to the mystery level strength talent, and obtained a lot of treasures that open up the brain domain, so he has such combat power. Wind Slaughter thought so, but he didn't expect that Yi Tian's strength talent was still at the pseudo-arcane level. However, Yi Tian's sword talent was too powerful, and he had cultivated 2 gold-level sword skills, as well as a large number of other talents. Compared with Yi Tian, that is the gap between ordinary people and geniuses. If Yi Tian was willing, he would even be able to easily break through the 13th or even 14th floor. Yi Tian saw the Wind Killing Blood, but he didn't expect the Wind Killing Blood to not leave, but entered the War God Monument space to comprehend the axe intent. In desperation, Yi Tian also entered the space of the God of War Monument. Sitting on the stone slab in the space of the God of War Monument, Yi Tian pondered what he should understand. Formations? Although he could continue to comprehend, he didn't want to develop the formation for the time being, and he didn't even copy Lin Yiyi's Morning Star formation talent. In the future, he is going to train Lin Yiyi to become a formation mage, and in the future, the matter of the formation will be handed over to Lin Yiyi. The Tao of the Sword. Do you understand the sword intent? Yi Tian pondered. His sword intent realm has reached 10% perfection, but it is not clear whether there is a realm after the sword intent. But Yi Tian estimated that there was. After all, his sword talent had reached the morning level, and maybe there was also a Huihui level sword talent and a Shiri level sword talent. But the top sword talent could comprehend the sword intent to 10%, and it would take a lot of time at most. So, isn't it nonsense that there is no higher realm above the sword intent? What is the use of the Morning Star sword talent? Yi Tian felt that the reason why the Zhonghai Super Base had not proposed the realm above the sword intent was because it did not have the Morning Star sword skill talent. Since there isn't, then I'll realize it myself. Yi Tian decided. Thereupon, he opened up the threefold time talent, and with the help of the God of War tablet, he comprehended the realm above the sword intent. A day passes. 5 days have passed. 10 days have passed. Yi Tian seemed to have forgotten the existence of the wind and blood, and only focused on everything about the Enlightenment knife. The powerful Morning Star sword technique talent helped, and a new wisp of realization appeared, and the Ten Cheng consummate sword intent seemed to sprout a trace of new sword power, making Yi Tian seem to see a new door. 3 more days passed. Yi Tian slowly opened his eyes, and the depths of his eyes were full of joy. Breakthrough. There is really a new realm above the 10% sword intent. This realm is called the Dao Dao realm. Yi Tian muttered in his heart. The Dao of the sword contains the power of the law of the sword, and it is the entry realm of the Dao of the Dao, just like the mystery level talent, which belongs to a new level. It's just that the Dao realm is too difficult to enter, and at the very least, it requires the Morning Star sword skill talent, and no one in the Zhanghai Superbase can do it except him. And the mystical level talent is different. Many people can use treasures to upgrade the top talent to the pseudo-arcane level, and use treasures such as the God of War tablet to comprehend a higher realm step by step. Among them, the Morning level cultivation talent and the Huihui level cultivation talent have played a great role. Plus all kinds of treasures, there is hope that they will be promoted to the realm of 70% pseudo-mystical talent, and then with the help of the moment when the king level is promoted to the holy level, they will be promoted to the mystical level talent. There are traces of the birth of the mystery level talent, but there is no trace of the birth of the Dao, and Yi Tian is the only martial artist in the Zhanghai Superbase who has comprehended the Dao of the Dao. But, he has just comprehended the fur, he has only initially comprehended the direction, and he can only be regarded as stepping into the threshold, and it will take about a few days before he can truly enter the realm of the Yicheng sword Dao. But after he came to enlightenment, it didn't help his strength much, because he hadn't obtained a sword skill above the gold level. However, once a gold level or above sword skill is created, or perhaps a gold level or above sword skill is created, then Yi Tian's strength will be incredibly improved again. Departure. After another 4 days of enlightenment, Yi Tian completely stepped into the realm of the Tao of words. At this time, he found that Feng Killing Blood was still comprehending the axe, which showed that he had just obtained a large number of points, and wanted to retreat here for a while, but it was impossible to retreat for too long. In the place where he has just broken through the holy level, every 1% of the deep brain domain is opened, the strength will skyrocket, and it is impossible for the wind to kill the blood not to know this truth, so that he will not always comprehend the axe intent. Indeed, on day 18, the wind slaughtered the blood and left, and Yi Tian also left. When the two of them walked out of the God of War monument, Feng Slaughter looked at Yi Tian suspiciously, and even wondered if Yi Tian had come out with him on purpose. Yi Tian, great sage! Blood sage! A shout rang out from outside the tower of the God of War. And Yi Tian didn't seem to pay attention to the wind killing blood, as if he came out just by chance and left in the other direction. The wind killing blood didn't say anything to Yi Tian, turned around, and left in the direction of the Tomahawk Mercenary Pavilion. And what Feng Killing Blood didn't know was that Yi Tian copied his mystery level strength talent, and also copied his 4% pseudo mystery level speed talent. Chapter 174. Back home, Yi Tian couldn't wait to start fusing the mystery level strength talent. His strength talent had already reached the 90% pseudo mystical level, and now, once he absorbed the mystical level strength talent of the wind and blood, he would inevitably transform into a real mystery level strength talent. One thought fusion begins. Rumble. The metamorphosis began. The mysteries of strength and the muscles of the body began to merge perfectly. There was no barrier at all, and the real fusion began to integrate into a part of the body. 10 minutes passed, and the fusion was over. Yi Tian, who was covered in sweat, took a look at his strength talent, and sure enough, it had become an arcane level strength talent. Strength talent, mystery. Sure enough, it's the same as the defensive talent. Once it becomes the arcane level, there's no division of 1 or 2. It seems that the amplification effect of the arcane level talent is 100 times, and there's no way to continue to improve, unless you're promoted to a more advanced talent. Yi Tian guessed, but is there a talent on top of the mystical talent? He didn't know, and the other saint-level emperor levels of the Zhanghai Superbase probably didn't know either. Then, Yi Tian began to fuse the 50% pseudo-arcane level speed talent of wind killing blood, and finally increased his 2% pseudo-arcane level speed talent to 60% of the pseudo-arcane level speed talent, and his speed suddenly increased many times. When the 2 replication opportunities ran out, Yi Tian began to practice in retreat, striving to improve his cultivation during this period of time. Thereupon, Yi Tian had been turning on 3 times the time to speed up the frantic opening up of the deep brain domain in the top-level cultivation room, and even used up the only bottle of elixir that assisted in opening up the brain domain. In the blink of an eye, 3 months have passed. On this day, Yi Tian ended his retreat. At this time, his deep brain domain had been opened up to 12%, and he had copied several speed talents on the Golden Armor Corpse puppet, raising the speed talent to 90% of the pseudo-arcane level speed talent. Naturally, the last time these Golden Armor Corpse puppets were killed in the temple space, they were kept in his personal space, and now they have been used to copy the pseudo-mystery level speed talent on their bodies. It's a pity that the pseudo-arcane level speed talent on their bodies is relatively low, and there's no way to make Yi Tian's pseudo-arcane level speed talent transform into an arcane level speed talent. But Yi Tian estimated that if he found another pseudo-arcane level speed talent, he could truly transform the speed talent into an arcane level. Heavenly Pavilion's progress. Heavenly Pavilion. Yi Tian and Yi Yu sat on the highest floor. At this time, Xiao Yu was already a king level. With morning level cultivation talent, plus a first-class top-level Yuan Force cultivation secret technique, a top-level cultivation room, and some treasures for refining the meridians, she had reached the ultimate of the Grandmaster in a short period of time, and stepped into the king level in one fell swoop. This was expected by Yi Tian for a long time. Xiao Yu, how is the development of Tianj now? Yi Tian asked. Brother, the development of Tianj is very good. Except for a few young ones such as Yi Yi who haven't started to cultivate, all the other members have become martial artists. And Zhao Hua and Sun Yu have directly become elite peak martial artists, and they will soon be able to step into the level of great martial artists. Yi Yu reported. Zhao Hua and Sun Yu were the other 2 of the 3 Morning Star talents. The 2 of them had just turned 15 years old, and they were discovered by Yi Tian, so after coming to the Heavenly Pavilion, they directly began to cultivate. In just 3 months, he has reached the peak level of an elite martial artist, which is the terrifying amplification effect of a good cultivation secret technique, a top-level cultivation room, and a morning-level cultivation talent. Not bad. Yi Tian was very satisfied with the development of Tianj. It is estimated that it won't be long before a bunch of grandmasters and even king-level powerhouses will appear in Tianj. When the time comes, these talents will be of great use. Yi Tian told Yi Yu a few words, and then left the Tianj headquarters. The holy meeting. However, at this moment, a message came from the headquarters of the Scattered Cultivation Alliance. Holy meeting. Yi Tian frowned slightly. The Scattered Cultivation Alliance would hardly hold any meetings. At least since he became a saint, he had never held any meetings. After all, the Scattered Cultivation Alliance was just a loose organization. Something big must have happened. Yi Tian guessed. Thereupon, he arrived at the headquarters of the Scattered Cultivation Alliance. The headquarters of the Scattered Cultivation Alliance, the highest floor of the conference room. Yi Tian came here and saw a lot of saint levels, including the Crazy Knife Great Sage who had made a deal with him. Soon, there were about 30 saint-level people gathered in the conference room, but most of the saint-level aura was not strong, just ordinary saint-level or small saint-level, and it was estimated that there were only a few strong people at the great saint level. After all, there are only a few dozen great sage level powerhouses in the entire Zhonghai superbase. How could there be so many great sage level powerhouses in the Scattered Cultivation Alliance? Yi Tian Great Sage. Yi Tian Great Sage. Yi Tian Great Sage. A saint level greeted Yi Tian, and Yi Tian responded casually. Then, the Great Sage of the Wild Knife walked over. Yi Tian Great Sage, do you know what this meeting is? The Great Sage of the Wild Knife asked with some solemnity. I don't know. Yi Tian shook his head. The Crazy Knife Great Sage said, Yi Tian Great Sage, this time it is very likely that something has happened on the side of the 5-star space crack, and according to the convention, a great saint-level powerhouse like you and me must go to the space crack. Something happened over there in the 5-star space rift? Yi Tian frowned. This thing is not good. The 5-star space crack is a very critical space crack. Once a 5-star space crack is missed, the army of fierce beasts will have a chance to kill the Earth. At that time, there will be many Emperor-level fierce beasts on the Earth, and many bases on the Earth will be in danger. If an Emperor-level beast wreaks havoc on the Earth, it will definitely be a disaster for mankind. Suddenly, Yi Tian's copying talent enveloped several radiant moon-level cultivation talent martial artists, and those martial artists exuded a terrifying aura, which should be Emperor level. But what disappointed Yi Tian was that they didn't have an arcane level talent, but one of them had a pseudo-arcane level speed talent. Yi Tian hadn't copied that person's pseudo-arcane level speed talent, so he could copy it. However, his copying talent still has more than 10 days to copy again. Although now he can only look at it greedily, there is no way to copy it. The door to the conference room opened, and the 4 emperors walked in. One of the emperors walked in front, and the other 3 emperors walked behind. The great emperor who walked in the front is the Kurong Great Emperor among the 36 emperors. The great emperor is ranked 9th, and he can be regarded as the second person in the Scattered Cultivation Alliance. With the introduction of the great sage of the crazy sword, Yi Tian had a preliminary understanding of these emperors. 4 great emperors appeared all of a sudden, and many saint-level people became a little nervous. Emperor Kurong spoke, "The Scattered Cultivation Alliance is a loose organization, and it is not mandatory for everyone to come to the meeting, but everyone can come to give face to the Scattered Cultivation Alliance. Maybe some of you already know, and the rumors are true. Something did happen on the other side of the 5-star spatial crack, and a 36th emperor fell." What? The faces of all the saints changed drastically. When did the fall of a 36 emperors happen? Why didn't any news come out? Emperor Kurong, which emperor has fallen? The great sage of the crazy sword asked solemnly. He didn't know about this, and he was shocked at the moment. It was not an ordinary emperor, but one of the 36 emperors. Chapter 175. It's the Tyrannosaurus Emperor who has fallen. Emperor Kurong said with some sadness. As one of the 36 emperors, the fall of the Tyrannosaurus Emperor had a great impact on him, which meant that he could also fall. It turned out to be the Tyrannosaurus Emperor. He is the 25th emperor among the 36 emperors. He is very powerful, and he has an arcane-level defense talent and an arcane-level strength talent. Many saints were shocked. Yi Tian also frowned secretly. He knew a little bit of information about the Tyrannosaurus Emperor. The Tyrannosaurus Emperor is a witch and a member of the Witch Temple, with mystery-level strength talent and arcane-level defense talent. But unfortunately, there is no weapon or boxing talent, so there is no way to superimpose the amplification of combat power, but the strength is still extremely terrifying. Emperors who can have arcane-level defense talents are very difficult to kill because the arcane-level defense talent can increase defense by 100 times, and the defense of ordinary emperors is 100 times. That is such a terrible defensive ability. It can be said that if the Tyrannosaurus Emperor let a group of ordinary emperors besiege him without the slightest resistance, the group of ordinary emperors would die of exhaustion, and the Tyrannosaurus Emperor would be unscathed. But now, the Tyrannosaurus Emperor, who has 2 mystery-level talents, has fallen. This news is amazing. Emperor Kurong, how did the Tyrannosaurus Emperor die? Asked the Modsword Great Sage again. Being besieged and killed by 3 emperor-level beasts of the same level. The Tyrannosaurus Emperor could have dealt with it alone, but he didn't expect that a terrifying emperor-level beast was secretly hidden, and the other party ignored the defense talent with an extremely terrifying soul talent, and annihilated the soul of the Tyrannosaurus Emperor in a few moves. Emperor Kurong said, his eyes revealing a hint of fear. Soul attack talent. The saints have changed color. This is a terrible talent that ignores attack power and ignores defense. Only if you are strong in cultivation can you resist the past, or have a soul talent to resist. Otherwise, an ordinary emperor with weak combat power may use a soul attack to kill one of the 36 emperors. The soul talent is one of the terrifying talents that can directly bombard the opponent regardless of combat power. Kurong Emperor, the other party has a soul talent. Doesn't it mean that if the 36 emperors don't have the means to resist, they can't stop the other party's soul attack? Not really, the Withering Emperor explained. The fierce beast with soul talent should just be an ordinary emperor-level fierce beast, but the soul power under the increase of soul talent is stronger than that of the Tyrannosaurus Emperor, so it annihilated the soul of the Tyrannosaurus Emperor. As for how many soul attacks it used, it is not clear. We only received the summons of the Tyrannosaurus Emperor before he died. Let us be careful of this Emperor-level fierce beast. According to our guess, as long as the cultivation is high enough, the soul power is strong enough to block the opponent's soul talent attack. Moreover, the Moon Emperor, one of the 30 emperors, has a treasure that can block the soul attack, and the Moon Emperor has now gone to the spatial crack to find the fierce beast, and once it is discovered, he will kill the fierce beast at all costs. The Bloody Eye Witch Emperor of the Witch God Temple has the talent of the Bloody Eye, which is a kind of pupil attack, which has the same effect as the soul attack, but it is not as powerful as the soul attack of the fierce beast, but it can also hurt the soul, and it should also be able to block the soul attack talent of the fierce beast. Moon Emperor, yes, and the Moon Emperor. That treasure of the Moon Emperor can easily block the soul attack of that Emperor-level fierce beast. The Blood-Eyed Witch Emperor's Blood-Eyed talent is also very terrifying. It contains a Divine Sense attack. It is a talent attack that combines Divine Sense and Pupil technique. With the Moon Emperor and the Blood-Eyed Witch Emperor, it should be able to compete with that Emperor-level fierce beast. It's a pity that the Tyrannosaurus Emperor has been restrained, otherwise the Tyrannosaurus Emperor will not fall easily. It's really a pity for the Tyrannosaurus Emperor. Presumably the Witch God Temple is completely angry. The Tyrannosaurus Emperor is the number 3 person in the Witch God Temple. Yi Tian also frowned. The very anti-heaven talent of soul talent actually appeared, and it still appeared on the Emperor-level fierce beast, which was very terrifying. If it appeared on a weak beast, he could copy it, but if it appeared on an Emperor-level beast, he could never copy it. Although his combat power is strong, his soul is weak. Even the Great Emperor, who had opened up 100% of his brain domain and promoted to the Emperor level, couldn't stop the soul attack of the Emperor-level fierce beast. He only opened up 12% of the brain domain, and when he encountered that fierce beast with soul attack talent, it was definitely a dead word. Of course, it's not impossible. It's been a year since his high-level soul transfer talent, and now he can use it again. If he occupies the body of a saint-level fierce beast and touches that Emperor-level fierce beast, he may be able to copy the soul talent of the other party. But this method is too dangerous, and he will hang up if he is not careful. The saint-level people talked about it, and the Kerrang Emperor waved his hand and said, "Let's be quiet." This time, not only did the Emperor-level fierce beasts with soul talent appear, but the number of Emperor-level fierce beasts also began to increase. Several emperors led by the Battle Axe Emperor made a suggestion. More than 90% of the Great Emperors entered the end of the spatial crack, and the rest of the Great Emperors guarded the base. And all the strong people above the Great Sage level enter the end of the space crack, and the holy level below the Great Sage level will go to 70%, and the list will be announced in a few days. If they are arranged to pass but are unwilling to pass, the consequence is to be forcibly brought over, and if they dare to escape, there will be the Emperor chasing and killing. I'm here to inform you, and you must understand that if we can't hold the line, the Zhonghai super base will be in danger. I'll understand. The Holy Rank answered one by one. Okay, that's all for today. I'll leave first if I still have something to do. Emperor Kerrang got up and left with several other emperors. The saints didn't leave, but chatted and started trading. Yi Tian didn't leave, but chatted with the Crazy Sword Great Sage. Crazy Sword Great Sage, I don't know if you know the sword skills above the gold-level sword technique? Yi Tian asked. The Crazy Sword Great Sage was very curious about why Yi Tian asked this, so he said, Yi Tian Great Sage, you won't comprehend the sword intent to 10% perfection, right? No, it's still very early. I'm just curious about what the gold-level sword skills are, and when the sword intent is realized to 10% perfection in the future, maybe you can try to cultivate the gold-level sword skills or above. Yi Tian said in a flicker. The great sage of the Crazy Sword obviously believed Yi Tian's words, and he didn't believe that Yi Tian could have comprehended the sword intent to 10% perfection at this age, and he had not comprehended it for decades. Yi Tian Great Sage, there are indeed sword skills that surpass the gold-level sword skills. I heard that the Battle Axe Emperor has a copy in his hand, and the Lu Ten Sword Emperor, who is third on the Emperor list, went to borrow it, but he only said one sentence to the outside world, that sword skill cannot be cultivated. Liu Shidao Emperor is the most terrifying sword skill in the Zhonghai Super Base. Not only has he comprehended the sword intent to 10%, but he also cultivated 10 gold-level sword skills, and his understanding of sword skills is unmatched. But he borrowed the sword skills above the gold-level sword skills, but he still failed to cultivate. And although the 10 Emperor Liu knew the content of that sword technique, he swore that he would not say it, and the only way was to obtain the sword skill from the Battle Axe Emperor. The great sage of the wild knife sighed. How can I borrow the sword technique in the hands of the Tomahawk Emperor? Yi Tian showed a look full of interest. Do you want to learn that sword technique? I advise you to forget it. Liu Shidao Emperor can't learn it, so you better not pay attention to that sword technique. Because the price of borrowing that sword skill is very high. I heard that Liu Shidao Emperor paid the price of 10 gold-level sword skills to borrow it, and he didn't even exchange the original. Although the Tomahawk Emperor couldn't comprehend the sword technique, he was very precious, and it was too difficult for others to borrow it. The crazy sword great sage shook his head, but there was also a trace of longing in his eyes. Although he couldn't cultivate, who wouldn't be curious? It's a pity that the price is too great and not worth it, otherwise he would have borrowed it. Forget it. Yi Tian seemed to have given up on his lips, but in his heart, he decided that he must find a way to borrow that sword technique. Chapter 176. In a few days, Yi Tian knew very well that he would definitely be selected to enter the spatial rift and guard the battle line. In this regard, he has no reservations. Human beings need to be guarded by these strong people. If they choose to escape when danger comes, is it still considered a human being? Therefore, he will not run away from it, nor will he be afraid. Compared to the average saint level, he had too many means to save his life, and unless he encountered that emperor-level fierce beast with a soul attack, he would have a way to escape. In a flash, 3 days passed. The Scattered Cultivation Alliance sent a message that he had to rush to the base of the spatial rift beast world within 10 days to report. 10 days, it's time to prepare. Yi Tian muttered. He still has a lot of resources in his hands, some of which are left to the Heavenly Pavilion, and some of which can be sold, such as the Forging God Pill. At the beginning, he had 3 Forging God Pills in his hands, giving 1 to Wang Yan and keeping 2 Forging God Pills. The value of the Forging God Pill in the Zhonghai Super Base is very high, and many of the descendants of the Great Emperor have heirs with transcendental cultivation talents, and it is difficult for them to impact the holy level. The Forging God Pill can help them reach the holy level with a high probability. In order to forge the Divine Pill, many kings will buy it at all costs, or the Great Emperor will buy it for the sake of his heirs. The 2 Forging God Pills were traded and exchanged for treasures that assisted in opening up the brain domain. Although my cultivation speed far surpassed that of others, if there were enough treasures to open up the brain domain, I would definitely be able to increase my cultivation in a short period of time. Yi Tian planned. Strength is the most important thing, and the Forging God Pill is useless to him. His sister, Yi Yu, is a Morning Star cultivation talent, and there is no need for a treasure like the Forging God Pill in the future. As for those people in the Heavenly Pavilion, he will not provide the Forging God Pill. They can only rely on themselves. Subsequently, Yi Tian hung the transaction information of the Forging God Pill on the trading platform of the Scattered Cultivation Alliance headquarters. The 2 Forging God Pills were traded separately, each of which was exchanged for 10 treasures that opened up the brain domain. In other words, 2 Forging Divine Pills are enough to exchange for 20 treasures that open up the brain domain. As soon as the transaction information was hung up, it was picked up, which shows the rarity of treasures such as the Forging God Pill. It will be snatched up and traded if one is slow. The transaction. Soon, Yi Tian saw the person who traded. There were 2 people in total. One of them was a king, and the other was an emperor. This is. Yi Tian looked at the Great Emperor. The person he traded with should be this king level. He didn't know why this Great Emperor came. In terms of talent, he already knew the name of this emperor, Qin Shan. Qin Shan is a Qin person and one of the emperors of Qin sect. But the transaction of the Scattered Cultivation Alliance came to the emperor level of Qin sect, which is against the rules. This is the emperor of Qinshan, from the Qin sect. Yi Tian Desheng, don't be angry first. I know this is against the rules, but we are willing to add trading chips. The king spoke. I understand. Who is trading with is not a transaction. Emperor Qinshan. What price are you willing to pay to buy the 2 forging god pills in my hand? Yi Tian asked. His 2 forging divine pills were both taken by this king level, so Emperor Qinshan must have wanted to trade the 2 forging divine pills. 24 treasures that open up the brain domain, and each one is enough for a Huihui level cultivator to open up 0.5% of the brain domain within half a month. 24 can help a Huihui level cultivator open up 12% of the deep brain domain in a year. The effect on the morning level cultivators is a little worse, and they can only open up about 4% of the deep brain domain within a year. The treasures that can assist in opening up the brain domain are very precious, and you also know the value of letting Huihui level cultivators open up 0.5% of the treasures in half a month. I can provide 24 copies, which is already very sincere. Qinshan gritted his teeth and said, "Yes." Yi Tian nodded in agreement. "Okay, let's swear a deal." Qinshan said happily. He traded 2 forging pills for his own children. He got married very late and gave birth to a son and a daughter. His son, named Qin He, can also be regarded as a combat genius, and is expected to hit the 5-star king level in the future, but he only has an extraordinary cultivation talent. His daughter was a little younger, and she had just been promoted to the king level, but she only had an extraordinary level cultivation talent. Therefore, he must prepare treasures such as forging divine pills for his 2 children. And this kind of treasure has always been out of stock, and there are few such treasures as powerful as Qinzong. He is just an ordinary emperor of Qinzong, so many great emperors, so many super-level cultivation talent heirs. If everyone wants to exchange this kind of treasure, no matter how much Qinzong has to forge divine pills, it will not be enough. He couldn't get a treasure like the forging god pill from Qinzong, and he had also sent someone to the temple space, but no one had obtained a treasure like the forging god pill last time, so he had no choice but to look for transaction information, hoping that someone would trade the forging god pill. Finally, he was contacted by a king level in the Scattered Cultivation Alliance, who was a martial artist he had once favored, and provided him with information on the transaction of the forging god pill. The transaction was successful. Qinshan breathed a sigh of relief. Now, my 2 children are expected to hit the holy level. Cultivation and departure. Yi Tian obtained 24 treasures that opened up the brain domain, 4 more than originally expected, and these treasures that opened up the brain domain were also much better than the ordinary ones, and this transaction was really profitable. After going back, Yi Tian immediately began to use the treasure to open up the brain domain, and at the same time turned on the triple time acceleration. Rumble. The deep brain domain was rapidly opened up under the influence of divine consciousness and treasures, much faster than before. Such a treasure can open up 0.5% in half a month for a Huihui level cultivator, but I am a Shiri level cultivation talent, and I can open up 0.5% of the brain domain in 3 days. I can also speed up 3 times the time, and the outside world can open up 0.5% in 1 day. Yi Tian muttered. Sure enough, after a day of retreat and cultivation, Yi Tian opened up 0.5% of his deep brain domain. The key is that 1 treasure can last him to cultivate for 2 days, that is, 1 treasure can open up 1% of the deep brain domain, and 24 treasures are enough for him to open up 24% of the deep brain domain within 48 days. That's an incredible speed. Sure enough, it's better to use resources faster. My current deep brain domain has opened up 12%, and when this batch of treasures is exhausted, I will be able to open up 36% of the deep brain domain, and my strength will inevitably skyrocket at that time. Yi Tian said excitedly, Practice. Practice. There are still about 9 days left before the reporting time, and he can go on the last day. In the blink of an eye, 8 days passed. At this time, Yi Tian's deep brain domain had opened up to 16.5%. It's time to leave. Yi Tian ended his retreat and prepared to go to the 5-star space rift. Before leaving, he told Yi Yu and the people of Tianj, and left the Zhonghai superbase. The spatial rift. Southeast, 700,000 kilometers. This is where the 5-star spatial rift guarded by the China shipping superbase is located. Yi Tian flew all the way here, and saw a huge spatial crack thousands of meters long, as if the sky had been torn open. Looking at this spatial crack, Yi Tian felt that the 3-star spatial crack near the Demon Sea Great Base was simply child's play. There are also many large arrays arranged at this end of the space rift, and the power of many large arrays exceeds that of the top-level large arrays, which should be the Morning Star array. At the same time, a large army and many king-level, saint-level, and even emperor-level powerhouses were also arranged here. Yi Tian vaguely sensed the terrifying aura emanating from several castles, which made him very frightened. Yi Tian flew over, and immediately a king-level flew over, hugged his fists and said, "Yi Tian, great sage, please come with me."